what's a fourth means by which Satan attempts to fashion us, reshaping our thinking? Higher education. Most of us remember the January 2015 JW Broadcasting program hosted by Brother Morris of the governing body. He focused on the value of divine education, but he also reaffirmed the dangers of pursuing higher secular education. Its whole purpose is for learning, influencing one's thinking. And while a person's intention might be just to create a stable base for a secular future, his decision could expose him to unscriptural ideas and practices.
That, my dear listeners, is a clip from the JW Broadcasting episode where Kenneth Loudoun, who is a helper to the teaching committee, talks about not pursuing higher education, a stance that the Jehovah's Witnesses have held for a long time. Jehovah's Witnesses are advised against pursuing higher education, with the Watchtower regularly providing warnings that attending university is an improper use of time in these last days. From inception, Watchtower leaders took issue with the education system, bemoaning teachings that contradict a literal interpretation of the Bible. Now, the foreword of the 1911 editions of the 6 Studies in the Scriptures decried colleges as undermining faith in the Bible. And in 1910, Charles Taze Russell himself responded as follows to a question about university. And I'll quote from the article. The question is, should the saints go right on and educate their children in this day for earthly positions, knowing they will not get into those positions in this age? Will such an education, college or university, be of value in the millennium? And then, of course, the answer. I advise all Christians not to send their children to colleges or universities, for if they do, they will risk a great deal through infidelity and unbelief, and they will be doing their children a positive injury. I think of a dear Christian brother who inquired of me about 5 years ago in regard to sending his daughter to a female college. I advised to the contrary, stating that she would probably lose her faith in the Bible. My advice is, then, give your children an education up to the public school limit, not even attempting to take them through high school, for they get plenty of higher criticism in the high schools, and it will not be long before they have it in the common schools also. Now, this is what Charles Taze Russell said way back in 1910. And one of the primary reasons against higher education has been that the time left is reduced, or the final days of the system should be spent in full service for Jehovah and his organizations. And the Watchtower in 1969, just to show you how far back this teaching or this doctrine about higher education goes. And I'm going to quote from the Watchtower 1969, March the 15th on page 171. It says, many schools now have student counselors who encourage one to pursue higher education after high school, to pursue a career with a future in this system of things. Do not be influenced by them. Do not let them brainwash you with the devil's propaganda to get ahead, to make something of yourself in this world. This world has very little time left. Any future this world offers is no future. Wisely then let God's word influence you in selecting a course that will result in your protection and blessings. Make pioneer service the full-time ministry, with the possibility of Bethel or missionary service your goal. That was 50 years ago, 1969. Many heeded that advice. A degree takes you about 3 to 4 years to complete. Having a diploma or degree of some sort will definitely increase your chances of getting a well-paying job whereby you can provide for your family. And many people's motivation is not entirely just to become wealthy when they pursue higher education. The Watchtower and Jehovah's Witnesses are quick to encourage their followers to rather take up learning a trade or a skill. And this is also seen in the writings, and I'll quote from the Kingdom Ministry of 1999. It says there, a university degree does not guarantee success in the job market. As an alternative, many have acquired marketable job skills by means of apprenticeship programs, some vocational or technical school education, or short-term college courses that require a minimum of time and involvement. But in my opinion, in my view, this is a fallacy. Take it from me, who did a trade. I come from the trade system here in South Africa. It took me 3.5 years to qualify in my specific trade. The additional time taken for university education is of minor significance, since some degrees can only take possibly, 1 or 2 years more than a trade. Some take exactly the same time to get qualified in a degree or diploma. Well, in 1992, the stance softened somewhat and saw a brief respite to the Watchtower's criticism of Jehovah's Witnesses attending university. It was acknowledged that in many countries a higher education was needed for jobs that could support their families. Better paid jobs meant less overtime and more available time for meeting attendance and preaching. Watchtower also required educated brothers to fulfill roles at Bethel. Attending university was considered acceptable, provided motives were pure and courses selected with care. Now, this is from the Watchtower, this next quote of the 1992 November the 1st Watchtower, page 18. It says, it has been reported that in some countries many well-intentioned youngsters have left school after completing the minimum required schooling in order to become pioneers. They have had no trade or secular qualifications. If they were not helped by their parents, they had to find part-time work. Some have had to accept jobs that required them to work very long hours to make ends meet. Becoming physically exhausted, they gave up the pioneer ministry. What can such ones do to support themselves and get back into the pioneer service? And it goes on page 19 to 20. When parents and young Christians today, after carefully and prayerfully weighing the pros and cons, decide for or against post-secondary studies, others in the congregation should not criticize them. Now that was the softened stance of the Watchtower. But we know that the Watchtower is notorious for flip-flopping. Well, the new Shepherd the Flock book, it has just been leaked online, and the world has caught a glimpse of how the governing body directs the elders within congregations. And in chapter 8, particularly under the heading, situations that may require a review of an appointed brother's qualifications. Point number 30 states the following. He or a member of his household pursues higher education. Now, this is a review of an appointed brother, be it either an elder or a ministerial servant. If an appointed brother, his wife, or his children pursue higher education, does his life pattern show that he puts kingdom interests first in his life? Does he teach his family members to put kingdom interests first? Does he respect what has been published by the faithful slave on the dangers of higher education? Do his speech and conduct reveal that he is a spiritual person? How is he viewed by the congregation? Why is he or his family pursuing higher learning? Do they have theocratic goals? Does the pursuit of higher education interfere with regular meeting attendance, meaning participation in field service or other theocratic activities? That's from the latest Shepherd the Flock book. So in effect, they are telling the elders that if you, your children, or any member pursue higher education, you risk being removed as an elder. So that, my dear listeners, is how the governing body wields control over their members, controlling The information that members take in is typical of cults and high control groups. Higher education is definitely beneficial to individuals and society in general. It can provide you with a better quality of life, better earning potential, and an all-round critical thinking skills can be achieved and attained as well. All these things that the Watchtower does not want you to attain. Until next week, this is Robin Jackson with Cult Life.